All right, and we are live. Welcome, everyone. Hello, Anthony.
Hey Snoopy.
Oh, we are good to go. I might get you to do a quick audio level check while we do a bit of an intro.
Sounds all good.
Sounds good. All over it.
So I will send a message to everybody, say that we're going to start. Give them a bit of a heads up.
Yep.
And we will be live.
And we will be good to go. So welcome to everyone who's watching at home or wherever you are in the world. We're at Apex Point Racing League tonight for our development series, hanging out with the Silver development drivers. So they ran their first round last week, and we had some new drivers appear and some familiar faces that have graced us in seasons past, and now they're ready for round two for what should be an interesting race.
Alright, so as the guys prepare their cars to go on track, we're just going to have a look at the beautiful liveries. We got I think bear with me 1 second.
No dramas, take over.
Alright, I'm all good, sorry. I had I was in the pits in my car. I think.
Yeah, we had an imposter driver show up, did we?
That's it. So sorry about that.
All good, no dramas at all. So we've got one-shot qualifying happening at the moment, and the first driver making their way through the track is Madrick for Team NRGX Racing. The NRGX team have had a really strong start to the season, but again, it's still early days. We've got a long way to go. Who do we have next, Anthony? We have Dace Racer.
Dace Racer. Dace Racer racing in the... Yep, no team. Running the Mazda, which is actually a personal favourite of mine. Sounds amazing. Great to drive, in my opinion. Does not like curbs, and we have some pretty hairy curbs at this track.
There are a lot of them tonight, that is for sure. We might just quickly go through the rest as we make our way through. So we also have here going around for the in third position to start their qualifying, P_944S2 or Ting Thing, racing for NRG Racing Team. And then behind him, not quite his teammate, but almost like a branch off the team of NRG, we have Tex.
Tex, I think will put down some really good pace tonight. He's been strong in practice. We did our practice academy last night, and we got to see some of the drivers throw down some pretty incredible lap times, actually, and some weather that we had not actually seen in any of the other previous practices, from what the guys is actually telling us. So, being that we are qualifying in the dry, what will be interesting is that the guys actually don't have any idea what the conditions are going to be like.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's dry at the moment, so everyone's feeling really comfortable on those racing soft tyres, putting down their fastest lap that they can. However, when it oh no, we have Ting. Ting is in the wall on his qualifying lap. So we might have a little bit of a replay to see what happened here. Coming out of the hairpin, just got a bit too much on the accelerator there and ended up in the wall. Unfortunately, that's gonna put him right down the back for the start of the race. But it is a wet race, so anything can happen.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy about that, and he's back off again. He just hasn't got the car settled. Oh no, don't impede.
As we're catching up with some of the drivers going across the line there, so I had a bit of a technical difficulty there. Ting was third to go around, but looks like he'll be fourth or fifth. We'll catch up with all the results as they do come through. But they're flying through at the moment. Daywalker's completed his lap. Looks like Ting is about to pass behind M Sports, and then Josh not too far behind. They're coming through really thick and fast at the moment. Madness sets his time as well. Next one to pass the line will be Speed Racer. And we'll do a quick little recap once we do get through all the qualifying. They're just too quick, these silver development drivers.
Well, it is only a short track, and they did seem to be very bunched up. Ting has had a bit of an off and then got back on the track and has put it back into the wall a second time. He probably should have just then waited. He wasn't going to have a competitive time, but he's come out in front of the Ferrari of M Sport, so M Sport is not going to be very happy about that at all. M Sport being pretty quick as well, so I'm not sure, where he's actually ended up on the qualifying table. 12th. So, and Ting's in 13th. So I just don't think, M Sport's going to be very pleased with that.
No, it happened really quick, this qualifying. Hey, again, like you were saying, a very short track. Dry conditions, so they're going at the optimal pace that they can push through. So looking at their lap times, which will be coming up in about 2.5 minutes time or just after that, will be interesting to see how much they were split by. But as you see here on the right, this is the order of the drivers that will be starting the race because their qualifying is complete. So it looks like we have in P1, or starting on pole position, Tex for NRG X Racing. Then behind him we have X Big Rig Racing for Paradox Racing in second. Rounding out the top three for qualifying is Pitmaster. Great result for Pitmaster. He actually won his first race the last time out in the development series. So happy with P3 for the Black Smoke Racing crew. Then we have Speed Racer. I believe that is another NRG subsidiary, the NRG X Racing team. Clarkey for Leviathan Racing Crew, or LRC for short. Josh in P6 for, I know this team, Stealth Racing, that's the one.
Yep.
Then we have Madrick, a new driver to the development series, racing for NRGZ in 7th. Snake Eyes for Revolution E Motorsports in 8th, a new driver as well. Madness, P9 for Madness. Now, interestingly, he had a very strong race last time out. Starting middle of the pack is probably not where he would want to be, but long race ahead. Definitely some positions to be gained there. Racing for NRGX. As you mentioned earlier, Anthony, we have Dace Racer, our privateer, in 10th. Daywalker racing for Walkers On, starting P11. M Sports 180 for Locked Hub Motorsports, starting 12th. Ting Thing, as we'll refer to him from here on out, unfortunately had that off, but looks like he was able to salvage P13 as Red Bearsy must have had a little bit of a moment down the bottom of the qualifying order.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see what he's done there. Maybe he just putted it around and knowing that he wanted to start the back and just take his time, given that he's probably going to be in a pretty comfortable position just putting behind everybody, waiting for the manoeuvres to happen and people to make up their minds about strategies. Keeping the car safe is probably a really good idea. So some of the guys that we're going to be keeping an eye on in this race specifically, obviously we're watching to see if Pitmaster can back up his win. Aussie Tex is a good shot for a podium, as well as Speed Racer. And actually, where did Pitmaster finish in the last race? Was it first?
Well, at Le Mans, round 8 of season 3, the Enduro, he finished in P1 and didn't make round 1 this season. So yes, this is his first time back. Now, I might run through the results in terms of timings for the people at home. Potentially, we might get you to jump over to the lobby chat just to make sure all the drivers are good to go, because Red Bearsy didn't set a qualifying time, so we may just need to quickly touch base.
So what I'll do is I'll jump over to those guys now. I'll get those guys to read out the results to me as I set the grid, because I will be resetting the grid and ending the race.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yep. Alright, so I'll be back shortly, guys.
Alrighty, now that we do have the times coming through, we can see how close the differences were. So Tex in P1 managing a gap on a qualifying lap of 2/10. Not too far behind him, as in Big Rig, was Pitmaster 2.5 tenths, or just over 2.5 tenths. So that got him P3. Speed Racer 3 tenths off in fourth. Clarkey 4.5 tenths off in fifth. And Josh within half a second of Tex's time. Now, bearing in mind, these are all dry qualifying times in those sort of high 131s, low 132s. Race pace is expected to be around 6 to 8 seconds slower. So we will see some differences in pace across the board for everyone, and also a difference in terms of strategy. Being a variable weather race, there will be periods of time where the weather will be quite torrential from a rainfall perspective. It may be lighter on compared to some other times as well, and it is expected in the forecast for the race to clear towards the end. So it'll be really interesting to see across the board with all the drivers what tyres they start on, whether that's an intermediate tyre or the full wet tyre, what they're able to do with that tyre in terms of their overall pace, and when will they feel confident to make the jump from a wet tyre to a dry tyre. Just flick across here to check the final page of the results for everyone's references. But again, qualifying is only one factor here in terms of the race. Anything can happen in the wet. So, the lobby has been reset. The weather conditions have changed as outlined. The race will now be damp. So we may just do a quick little check of the weather radar here to see what the forecast has been doing an hour prior to the start of this race. So you can see lots of rainfall clouds. Those yellow ones are really heavy forms of rain, as you can see on the bar or the legend on the left-hand side. It looks like it's gotten lighter, now it's cleared. So at the moment, the track is clear in the middle of that center pinpoint there, but there is rain hovering around. So the track will still be damp from all that rain earlier in the piece. But as the race progresses on, it may change to dry. It may even get heavier. Only time will tell. So we're just waiting for the drivers to confirm that they are on the grid. Make sure that they select their tyres for the race. While I do that, I'm just going to quickly check in with everyone in the live stream. Hope you're all well. If you are a friend of Apex Point Racing League or are interested, feel free to drop in any comments at any time. We're happy to have a chat and answer any questions that you may have. But hope you enjoy the race to come. These are some of the fastest development series drivers that we have, and they are all vying for the coveted title of Development Series Champion, which gives them a one-way ticket into the Pro Series next season, where they will be racing with the likes of A+ drivers and even higher. May just jump on board with them to see how they're all going. Bowers is doing his best at home, one of the spectators tonight, multitasking between watching the race for his own intelligence in the Pro Series and doing his own farming simulation, it would appear. Can't get enough of the simulation stuff. Now, interestingly, just then there was a little bit of rain that hit the drivers' cars and the windshields flicked on automatically. So I think it could be an interesting start to the race. We may just do a quick little check to see what tyres everyone is going to start on, if we can. So, M Sports is on the soft, which is a really interesting strategy, because if we look in the bottom left-hand corner there, to the right of the timer there is what we call the moisture meter. So there are 3 levels to it. The lowest level is usually quite safe for just running slick compound tyres, so think your soft, hard, medium compound tyres. the middle section, so currently where the bar is now, that's where you would want to be on your intermediate tyres, and the top bar is very, very heavy rain, almost aquaplaning territory. As the rain falls down here on this car, you may notice that it will go up slightly. So M Sports may be thinking that the track will get better in this opening stint, but it's a very brave choice, I would say, to be going out as he changes to intermediates. So probably was just loading things up on his end. So we have M Sports on inters, Josh on inters, Dace on wets, Clarkey on inters, Pitmaster and Madrick on wets as well, Snake Eyes, Madness, Ting, Big Rig, Speed Racer, Daywalker, Tex and Bearsy, all on the intermediate compound tyres. So there will be a bit of variety to the start of this race with the different wet weather compounds. We'll just have to wait and see which is the superior compound for the start of the race.
Alright, so I'm back in the comms box, and the guys are briefed, they've got their tyres set up, they're ready to go, and they're keen.
Alright, let's do it.
Alright, I'll just let them know we're starting real quick.
We were having
5 seconds notice.
Yeah. Falconer, who's racing over in the Bronze Development Series lobby, I'm fairly sure, wishes all the drivers a good race. Thank you, Falconer.
Oh, very nice.
Hope you have a good race as well yourself, mate. You can always watch this replay afterwards. But let's crack on and get this race going.
I made sure I wasn't ticked in this time.
Yep, that's a good start. Alright, well what we'll do, we may start with Speed Racer. Actually, we'll start with Clarkey towards the middle of the pack here.
Yeah.
Just to see the variety of what goes on.
Clarkey's had a really good qualification.
Yes, I wouldn't expect anything less from the LRC driver. Now look at that track, that is wet. So this will be a very interesting turn one, and as the lights count down, and they're off and underway. So the guys at the back are going to have a lot of speed heading into turn one. Let's hope they can all keep their noses clean. Nice.
Let's hope they be patient.
Josh
That's
going for the move up on Clarkey there.
That with those bombers on the livery there, with the dive bomb.
Looks like everyone made it through turn one okay. Jump on the front with Tex here. Tex probably has the easiest run of the bunch here, being out of front. You can see the track, there's no spray, doesn't have to follow anyone. So he'll be sort of dictating the pace at the start of this race, and that pace will be slow and wet.
So a lot of the drivers are running intermediates, but there are a few in there that are running wets.
We did notice that as we took a quick tour through the pits prior to the race and had a look at the rain radar.
A little sneak peek.
Had a little sneak peek. Well, you know, when there's time to kill, you must find
That's
things
right.
to do.
I was saying that to the guys. I said I got to get back over there because Snoopy's talking to nobody.
Big Rig. Big Rig has had an off. Big Rig has had an off as we quickly jump to the replay here, which you won't be able to see, unfortunately, Anthony, but I'll call that out when I do. Big Rig in P2, coming into the hairpin, traction control on, got a bit too excited on the throttle, similar to Ting in qualifying, and just managed to keep it out of the wall, but lost all the positions. However,
oh my goodness,
this is a long race, and there's plenty of time to make that up, but Tex is flying away at the moment.
Yeah, I was saying it earlier, Tex is going to be on the watch. The guys have been in the NRG team practicing every day, so if we don't see a good result of the NRG team like we did last week, I'll be very surprised.
Very strong team, the entire NRG suite of drivers, and they're currently P1, 2 and 3. Look at those cars behind Aussie Tex, my word. However, the overall team owner for the NRG crew, the Elder, who is racing in the development series as well tonight in the bronze lobby, would be very proud of his team. Great results in round 1, and at this stage they're looking like they're off to a strong start in round 2 in the silver lobby.
Yes, so we've got the NRG team in first, second, third, and fifth. Fourth is Stealth Racing.
We got
And
Madrick
then,
in 5th there. Yep.
yeah, Madrick in 5th, and then followed by Pitmaster, and possibly one of the coolest liveries going about.
Absolutely. It's a bit of a battle pack forming towards the back here as we see, I believe that's M Sports making a move on, or attempting to make a move on Dace Racer
On Dace.
This is a very tricky set of corners, especially in the wet.
There is some touching going on here. Some people have made some moves to avoid, but they've all come through okay. So, no damage to report.
No damage to report, and that's always a good sign. Now, Pitmaster is, well, Snake Eyes actually is the head of this train, and he has a big group of people behind him. As we see them going side by side, a lot of people going up the inside of Pitmaster here.
Yes, well, I think Ting is really on a mission.
Clarkie's had a bit of a moment. Did he save it? He almost did. He dropped, I think, from P8 to...
He's down in 14th place.
I just have a quick little replay check-in on this. I think, he had a bit of a touch from M Sports. Managed to hold it together, but lost a lot of time, so potentially something for the stewards.
Yeah,
that's
not... Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, I'll call out whenever we do a bit of a action replay because I'm conscious that it comes up on my screen for the viewers at home, but not yours. So
yeah, I've got it playing there, so I can look over and have a quick sneak peek.
Very good. It's like we've done this before. Hey, we know exactly what we're doing.
I just wish I read the brief prior to rushing to get this all structured.
Yeah.
Getting home late, straight into putting the kids down, but we're here, it's all happening, and it looks like all the races are sticking pretty close apart from Aussie Tex.
Yes, definitely Tex is streaming away as we're just riding on board with Daywalker at the moment, just to sort of get a bit of an idea of what's ahead of him. Now, it looks like there's no rain falling because there are no windscreen wipers going on Daywalker's car, and there is a slight dry line forming as some of the drivers are actually peeling off to the wet line. Must be trying to keep their tyres cool. As Big Rig, is that Big Rig or Bearsy? It is Red Bearsy going up the inside of off Pitmaster and Daywalker. Red Bearsy. We might just have to have a quick little look at that one again. That was one hell of a move.
He's touched the wall there. It was got a bit unstable. It could have been a bit of net code.
Must have missed that in the action replay, but he's the head of the group, the back pack of the group in P10. Little groups everywhere except for Tex. Tex is sort of off in his own world, and we've got quite a few battle packs forming this early in the race.
I'm currently just still watching Pitmaster at the moment with the guys holding up the rear, the pack at the rear. All bar one on intermediates. Pitmaster just getting passed by Clarkie there, a bit of pushing and shoving again. I think that corner is going to be pretty tough for that. People having different lines, a bit more confidence than others in the wet, whereas typically in the dry, these guys will be racing pretty closely, being our silver drivers.
Yeah, exactly right. And judging by the changing of drivers on the fastest lap on the left-hand side there, in that small instance, it went from one driver to 4 different drivers taking the fastest lap. So that would suggest to me conditions are improving in terms of the dampness of the track. As Pitmaster, clearly driving off the racing line there to cool down his tyres. Yeah,
that's correct. So some of the guys have been advised, and the guys that did turn up to the practice academy will know they got some good pointers from Tyler about keeping their tyres cooled down and getting off of the racing line as much as possible on the intermediates and wet tyres. And then also myself giving the guys a bit of rundown on it's probably not the best idea to be pushing the hardest on these tyres, because they potentially have to have these tyres last a long time. And we might see a dry patch here that really wears them down a bit.
As we're just riding on board with Tex and he's sticking to that dry line and really pushing it, I'd be curious to know as to how his tyres are coping. So don't ride off this race just yet. It could change with just one cloud of rain, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, so the GDR's tyres are all pretty much much of a muchness, including Aussie Tex. Madrick, running the wets, has slightly more wear than the intermediates, which is to be expected. They're obviously running hotter than the intermediates now.
Of course, yeah, being the tyre more suited to super wet conditions, as he darts straight over to that wet line off the racing line. He's trying to conserve them as much as possible. Probably put on the wet tyres, praying for a downpour where he can scoop up the pieces a little bit later, but on this sort of drying track at the moment, it wouldn't really be working out for him, unfortunately.
I tell you, Daywalker is in the Porsche is really looking after those tyres. He's getting off the racing line as quick as possible, as he was trained, and those tyres are looking good, which is surprising for the Porsche.
Yeah, especially a car that's not known for good tyre wear, so might be hanging around in 13th at the moment, same with sort of Pit Master in 14th here, but they could be thinking longer term in terms of, saving their tyres for a later stage in the race. Yeah, fuel as well, absolutely. Alright.
So Big Rig is looking to have a go at Red Bearsy, letting him know he's there, back in 12th position, fighting for 11th. Incredible looking car. Probably one of my favourite looking cars altogether is the M6. Just a pity we couldn't use it this season.
Yeah, it's a popular choice, but it's been really interesting to see the variety of choices as Daywalker gets a little bit squirrely through the chicane there. But it seems that the GTR is a popular choice. The M6 is also popular as well.
After last week, we actually had some requests for people to move into the GTR.
Yes, we did.
Obviously, it was a good choice. It was my suggestion for the NRG team for the guys to run the GTR. I'll take credit for that.
As Big Rig makes a nice move up the inside of Red Bearsy, plenty of racing room, and Dace Racer as well actually, so plenty of racing room given. I think he's trying to make up for lost time at the start of the race now. Something must have happened to Tex here, because that gap between him and Speed Racer has closed down quite significantly.
Yes, and I would say that he has misjudged the braking marker and locked up the front tyres, because his front left tyre has all of a sudden, in the space that I was just reviewing them and saying that they're all looking pretty much of a muchness, has worn like you could say probably 50% faster than all the other ones now. So he's had that lock up and cooked it. That
is not a good sign. We'll have to just wait and see what impact that will have on his time here.
Yeah, but I think Speed Racer is going to play it smart here. He's going to look after those tyres, and we'll see in the latter stages of this race. My prediction is, if Aussie Tex doesn't come in and pit, Speed Racer is going to get past anyway, just based on pure better grip.
Yeah, you can see him just really wrestling the wheel there to get the car around that double apex hairpin. So Speed Racer's in second there, with the two NRG liveried cars looking nicely after one another. Then the third one, Madness, behind, just sort of keeping them honest. And then the true pioneer, the non-NRG driver, Josh, putting the fight to the NRG boys in P4 at the moment, just hanging back a little bit. Again, it's a long race, plenty of time for him to figure things out. We've actually got someone in the pits, I would believe. Dace Racer. I wonder what he has seen compared to the other drivers.
This is pretty early. Lucky for him, this car should be pretty good on fuel. But he's going to have to fuel safe to get to the end.
He did take on a bit of fuel there, but it looks like he put on a fresh set of wet tyres, so I might get you to do a quick radar check if you wouldn't mind, because I feel like Dace Racer may have seen something that we might be missing. As we jump back on with the boys up front in P1 and P2, Speed Racer's really catching up to Tex quite a lot. I wonder if Tex will be waiting for the rain. Let's wait and see what happens here. They're evenly spread out a little bit for all the drivers. Speed Racer runs a bit wide there, but holds it together. Sorry, yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so the weather looks to me like they're going to have a bit of a gap, and they're going to get a little bit more at the later stages. We're currently at 13 minutes. Geez, I think they might get it just probably in the teens.
Yeah, we're about a third race distance here at the moment. Someone else just started into the pits, which we'll jump in with shortly. I believe it was Clarkey. So Clarkey's putting on a fresh set of tyres, no fuel. He's going for the gamble, putting on the softs, so he's going to have to be super careful coming out of the pits. Oh no, he got a 3-second penalty for crossing the pit entry.
Oh no.
And the rain has started to fall as he's put soft tyres on, so...
No, he didn't do the soft tyres.
He is on the soft tyres, can confirm. So we will have to wait and see whether this plays out. Now, he'll have superior grip. He'll have superior grip, but I think he will be kicking himself, because if he wants to get an overtake done, he has to go off the line potentially onto the wet stuff, which is not where the softs want to be.
Yes. So in practice, I did try the strategy that looks like Clarkey is doing right now, and the problem he's going to have is he's going to be coming up to pass people, and they don't necessarily have to get off the racing line, and there's nothing he can do. So right now we're going to see a mistake here.
Yep, just no grip there. But
yep.
And you can see as we were riding on board in cockpit view, the windscreen wipers are on. I think this is only going to end in heartache for him, but we will check in and see how he fares a little bit later on. Meanwhile, up the front, so Speed Racer's in front of Tex. So Speed Racer got the move done on Tex. Must be Tex's tyres just really hurting at the moment. And Madness
they're just a sliver left. So
that is not good.
Not good at all.
A slither front, rear? Where are we looking in terms of...
Front left, sorry. Front left. He's probably got 10% less than 10% on the front left. All the other tyres are at 50%.
And that's really painful. Any tyre wear lower than maybe 40%, you'd start to get worried, and especially this being a clockwise circuit, with a lot of the pressure being put on that front left, he's going to, in corners like this, for example, he will be struggling.
Yep. So as you see, Speed Racers getting off the racing line, Aussie Texas this time has followed him. So Speed Racers tyres, we won't see much wear now until the rain stops for the second time, which it will, and these guys will then be able to go onto the softs towards the end. So I think Speed Racer is very comfortable now. He can continue to go until he is due for softs. But Aussie Texas is going to be wrestling this car, and he's going to have to hang on. It looks like he's indicating for the pits. He's going to change tyres, so he's going to have to do 2 pit stops.
Texas in the pits as we just quickly jump to Clarkey. Clarkey had spun just coming out of the double hairpin turn 1, but he's back on his way now. So Tex is in.
Yeah, he's around again. He's going to have a hard time getting back. Yeah, we might see
get a quick little replay of that. It probably just too wet. Yeah, look at the moisture meter on the left hand side, and just can't hold on to it with the softs, unfortunately.
And he's been reset. He's been reset again, same position.
That's going to be a rough lap for him, and he has not moved from that position, so he's better
off pressing pause and letting the car drive itself around.
We don't want to recommend that to anyone, however. Tex took the pit and is back in third, so didn't lose too much time here, but there's been a lot of moving and shaking around because Josh was P4, now he's P7, but I'm probably betting that some of the drivers in front of him have not changed to a fresher compound. So as the rain looks like it's really hitting heavy now.
Yeah, and I'll just put this out there that to Clarkie's credit, he is doing his best to get out of the way of the other cars on the blue flag, even though he's even worse off being out in the wet. More wet areas.
It'd be a really bitter pill to swallow, but I think just focusing on getting the car off the track in a safe manner that doesn't impede other drivers will be crucial here. Alright, there was a lot happening in that moment as someone else has gone for a spin behind here. Madrick. We might just have a quick little replay to see what happened there.
Madness has picked up a penalty, 5 seconds. He's going into the pits. I'm not sure why he's done that. Maybe team orders. I don't know why he's... If that was me, I would have been out there just hanging out there because... look, the pit stop's not going to be a long pit stop. By any means, but it did seem to be a 5-second deficit if you did go and change again.
And then he took a splash of fuel as well.
Yeah, he might be planning on for the second one to fill up. So he's come out in he's planned it so he can come out in the clean air.
Clarkie's now back in the pits.
Good.
Get rid of those soft compound tyres to probably put on something a little bit more durable for the wet weather conditions.
And take a load of fuel while he's at it so he doesn't have to come back again.
That's exactly right.
For fuel.
Pitmaster's in as well. Pit crew ready and standing by. 1.5 second penalty as well, unfortunately.
So Clarkie's taken on the wet tyres, and he's going to have some fresh wets, so he's going to be able to maximise, or probably maximise the lap times now in comparison to everybody else for a difference in speed, especially to Speed Racer, where he's on worn intermediates in a heavy downpour. So he will be lapping very slowly in comparison to the other drivers.
Yeah, we may compare some of the lap times as we get a little bit closer to that optimal tyre temperature range. Do have a bit of a group forming behind Ting here, as Snake Eyes and Big Rig are running side by side up the back straight. Looks like Snake Eyes is just ahead of him there. Not sure whether they have pitted or not. Oh no, someone is off in a spin. Madness has had a spin.
Madness.
We'll get a quick action replay of that shot there. So sitting in P3, heading into the chicane, which is a tricky set of corners.
On fresh intermediates.
And it looks like the track is just too wet. Just looks like it's too wet for intermediates, but if you can hang on, it'll work out in the long run. But fortunately, no damage, and we're still able to hold on to P3 there, so he'll carry on, but has lost a load of time.
So Ting has also been silently working away, and he's made his way up to 4th place. So here again, we'll just be trying to caress that Z4 to get to the next stint, because right now he'll be really suffering.
It'd be a great improvement for him starting in P13 after having that off in qualifying to claw back to 4th position where he is now, and to hold on to that would be an exceptional result. So if he can hang on for when the weather clears, it may bode well for his final standings. Got a bit of a group behind
really
as well.
composed out there with that group at the moment. They're all looking pretty sharp.
I think they all know that unless one of them is an absolute maestro in the wet, they shouldn't be trying anything fancy. Just keep it together, keep everyone, on the same page. Actually, Josh made a bit of a move on Snake Eyes there, so maybe Snake Eyes went a little bit deep and Josh was able to capitalise.
Yep, looks like what's happened.
And then the little group behind him with Dace Racer. Then we have Daywalker behind him. So Daywalker's actually lapped Clarkie. So Clarkie has to unlap himself and chip away at the time. So he's got a bit of a mountain to climb there, unfortunately, for Clarkie.
Yep. He's been sensitive on that throttle, playing it safe.
Meanwhile, Speed Racer and Tex, they are within 2 to 3 seconds of one another. So I think they will be keeping each other honest all the way until the end there.
So Clarkey is currently running with a silver badge on the back. I believe he's a bronze driver though. Just happens to be in the silver lobby because of past results.
We'll just have to rectify that next time around.
Yeah, I'm just going to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So just for the audience who's watching, we are, Clarkey is statistically punching up here, but he has been doing quite well.
Josh seems to be really comfortable in these wet conditions in P5. He made a move on Snake Eyes earlier heading into this corner here, and it looks like he's sitting on the back of Ting, trying to get a move done on him as well. It seems that he's really happy in these sort of wet and slippery conditions. Now what will they do here? It's a question of where to go to make the move.
Yes, so just to confirm, Clarkey is the only bronze driver in the field, in the silver lobby here, and Madness is a gold driver.
That's more standings for our references there. Obviously it gives an indication of the driver's pace and their overall competitiveness as Josh just takes a little bit of a look on Ting. I definitely feel like he's got more pace here. So we'll see what happens as they go down the main straight here. We're riding on board with Ting from the replay angle. Josh just waiting for a good opportunity.
Ting is on worn intermediates, Josh is on fresh wets. So Josh is going to have a great advantage here, but if Ting can just hold him off until this weather clears up, which we are in optimal intermediate weather now, but that being said, again, Ting is on worn tyres, whereas Josh is on fresh wets.
That's probably where that difference in pace is coming through, just having that superior grip level in the rain goes a long way. But to his credit, Ting is doing a great job keeping Josh behind him. Probably what he needs to do to salvage as many points as he can from that qualifying. As they almost go side by side through the S's there.
Yeah, so it looks like Josh is taking some other lines to get a better run down to this hairpin. Hasn't worked out this time around.
Ooh.
Oh, there we go. We've got a little bit of sideways. The pressure is on for Ting. He just needs to keep his composure. Josh will just be playing this smart and just watching Ting sweat, knowing that he hasn't come in for a fresh tyre.
Yeah, I think Ting just got a little bit loose coming out of the turn on the rear tyres, and Josh had better grip, and as he
Josh
picks up
a 1 second penalty.
Yep, just about to say that. So that's going to be a lot of welcome breathing room for Ting, as the rain has picked up again. So yes, Josh has a penalty, but he may be able to claw this back with the superior grip. And he has to serve at that lap, which is probably not a bad thing. He can keep chipping away at it here. But we may divert our attention away from that to... where were we looking? M Sports and Daywalker are battling. Meanwhile, Clarkey is in the middle of it, trying to unlap himself. So this could be a recipe for disaster. But as long as Clarkey gets the moves done, I mean, it's a bit of a chicken and egg scenario. Blue flags are being shown, so he needs to yield. But if he has the pace,
he's still going to race his race too.
Right on board with Pitmaster, who's actually in 11th, but behind Clarkey in 14th, so it's
Clarkey's right at the back of that Ferrari. It looks really good. There he goes.
No.
Really close behind that Ferrari. It's just cost him, I think, maybe just a bit too much throttle and no downforce.
I think that corner seems to be his Achilles heel tonight, and probably was getting a little bit greedy trying to get on the power early so he can get the move done on M Sports, and unfortunately paid the price and spun. So That's unfortunate for him, but fortunate for the drivers around him, as now they can carry on and battle for each other without having a lapped car in the way.
That Ferrari looks really good.
It does. The Locked Hub Motorsports Ferrari, similar to the Pro Series driver Flux, following a very similar livery between the two of them, but a very nice looking car. Now, there's so many little battle packs forming here. What I think will be interesting is who makes the call to go onto the drier compound tyres first. And I think whoever will do it first will be the one taking the biggest risk. So maybe someone towards the back of the pack here taking a bit of a gamble to, you know, test their luck and see if they can gain some advantage from it.
So Bell was asking what tyres is Tex running. So Tex jumping into the lead on the wet tyre to Speed Racer's worn intermediates. So Aussie Tex has paid off for him to jump in and grab those fresh wets. Where Speed Racers has stayed out.
Really interesting. What's their fuel like? That would be.
So they're running the same fuel. So Aussie Tex didn't fill up. So when they come in for the change of tyres, it's going to be who's the bravest and wants to get on them first.
Exactly. Yeah. There could be a bit of an undercut scenario here, or an overcut, depending on who pits first between the two of them. Madness sitting very happily by himself in P3, just running his own race, taking the wide line onto the wet part of the track. And then Ting is actually still holding Josh up in P4. Josh behind him there. Obviously had to serve that 1 second penalty, which cost him a fair chunk of time. Snake Eyes not too far behind Josh himself. Big Rig had a spin early in the race, but looks like he has... Oh, no, the commentator's curse. Here, no, it's okay. He held it together. I literally said spin, and Big Rig manifested what I was saying, but held on to it, P7.
Well done to him.
Good job, Big Rig. Dace Racer, the privateer, in P8. Red Bearsy, who started at the back, actually sitting in P9. Then we obviously have M Sports and Madrick behind him. Now Pitmaster is getting in close behind him. I think Pitmaster could have something on here, so we might just jump on board and see what he ends up doing. As we sit behind Pitmaster, actually, there's quite the dry line forming on the track. Madrick goes a bit very deep into the corner, just opens the door for Pitmaster. Pitmaster gets the move done clearly. Daywalker's in.
We are at the point where the biggest cojones will be putting on the soft tyre, so...
And that is Daywalker. And I had a funny feeling Clarkey would give it a go as well, considering his race. So now...
And he's got out the pits safely without spinning, so
did Daywalker. Very good job, boys. Now, we'll come back to them in a sec, because... Actually, I was about to jump to Tex and Speed Racer to see if they would react to that, but they've gone around again. They're actually just behind Daywalker, so they might have to go around one more time and yet to make their decision. But let's see if any of the other drivers make a move. Ting is going into the pits. Ting is in.
That's it, Ting.
Josh is in.
Ting.
Snake Eyes is in. They're all following each other. Big Rig is in. Let's see if Dace Racer follows. Dace Racer is in. Red Bearsy bucks the trend, stays out. So, this is where things will start to get interesting. Tex and Speed.
Oh yeah, so Aussie Tex is chasing down the Porsche, okay.
Yeah, that's Daywalker in front of him.
Yeah, lapped car, yep.
And looks like he's been able to pull away. But it's going to be a bit of a challenge to make sure that you stay on that dry line. Now the real big question mark here is who is going to go into the pits. I have a feeling
Aussie Tex and Speed Racer will both go in, and I'm going to guess they come out on top of each other.
Speed Racer stays out. Speed Racer stays out.
He stays out. And he's not playing it safe. He's got really worn intermediate tyres.
Only time will tell as Tex pulls into the pits. Going to take on a fresh pair of softs and some fuel. We have a driver that's off in the quadruple apex corner there. I'm not sure who that is as we wait to see.
That's the Mazda of Dace Racer. He's on the softs.
Tex.
He is racing. He's just driving on the wet parts of the track. I don't think he's staying on the dry line.
Tex very successfully navigated his way out of the pits through the wet line onto the dry line, so he is safe. Now he just needs to keep it there. Speed Racer in lap traffic, but will be coming in this lap most likely. All the boys that have pit earlier, so Red Bearsy actually, who stayed out and took the gamble in that gaggle of cars in the mid-pack, is now on the wet line, trying to defend Josh on the dry line, so obviously he's trying to cool his tyres down.
Oh no. And Josh didn't want to cut in on him and had to stay out wide and almost cost him.
Josh did an exceptional job to just very carefully ride that wet part of the track and not lose control. Good job, Josh. Now this is going to be the interesting part as we jump back on board with Speed Racer here. He's coming up to some lapped cars, but that's okay because I think he will be going into the pits this lap.
Surely.
Yes. As he does. Okay. Now, where does that put Madness and Tex?
It'll be a pass.
As Madness...
He's already caught up.
Madness looks like he's still on the softs. I mean, sorry, the
intermediate. Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry, as you take, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, he goes into the pits. Mm-hmm.
So he's into the pits to change to the softs. Now, Speed Race is filling up. Tex, as we ride on board, is coming down the main straight.
Already.
And it looks like he's going to get this done. As you can see to the left there, Speed Racer coming out of the pits. And he has sacrificed the position there. We've got a few drivers off actually in the quadruple apex corner here. Don't know how to jump to them.
People are running wide obviously and getting onto the wet.
Which is unfortunate. So, after the dust settles with all the pit stops, we have Tex in P1 with Speed Racer, 1.5 seconds behind. Madness in P3, 16 seconds behind Tex. Then we have Josh, who has got the move done actually on Ting, so must have gotten that done after the pit stops for the soft compound tyres on Ting there in P5. Snake Eyes in 6th. Big Rig in 7th. Red Bearsy, I think he may have stayed out just a little bit too long on that, but is in 8th position.
Yeah.
Coming out off the wet line onto the dry line and goes deep, unfortunately, so he's going to lose loads of time here to try and get that back on. Very nicely saved there. Madrick under attack in P10 from Daywalker. So Daywalker there in 11th. Pitmaster in 12th. M Sports just behind him, and then funnily enough in front of them both is Clarkey, who has been lapped by everyone from P11 up. So that's the lay of the land.
Alright, well it looks like Speed Racer had clawed back some time to Aussie Tex while we're going through that rundown, however has thrown it away again to be back to square one from when he came out of the pits.
They have yellow flags ahead.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Must be a car that's spun or off the track here. So they'll come around and hopefully it doesn't impede them. And these lap times are just tumbling down now at the moment.
Yep, so it looks like Speed Racer has more pace in Sector 2 than Aussie Tex at this stage. Aussie Tex might just be playing a bit safe through that sector. I know I would be. It only takes one little mishap and then you're a little bit wide and you're on the wet.
So, Josh, interestingly, had gotten the move done on Ting, but he was still on intermediate, so he just went a little bit further. And there's a yellow flag in front of him, so I wonder what's happened.
Ting has looped it.
Ting has looped it. We might just have a quick check there. I reckon on the replay we'll be able to see. Just riding those curbs, and the curbs are still wet. And just spun around entirely, and then trying to get back onto the dry line, spun again. Damage to the front bumper, and rear damage there. So that would definitely have hurt his time a lot to Josh, who is actually gone wide at the quadruple ape. It's just that there's never a dull moment at this corner. We were just commenting on how one driver has had an off and the driver behind them has spun as well. This is the corner for the ages. Well. This is the place to be if you bought your grandstand ticket at this corner. That is where you'll want to be. Let's press the wrong button there.
He's got some re-damage as well.
I don't want to go away from this corner. Madrick makes it through. M Sports makes it through. Speed Racer is behind M Sports, who very nicely moves out of the way. Well done, M Sports. Great sportsmanship there to adhere to blue flags to allow Speed Racer to carry on. They navigated that through perfectly. Now, who's the next one to go through? Who's the next victim at the quadruple apex chicane? Let's have a look here. I think it's probably going to be
Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes.
He's coming through. Let's see how well he navigates through here.
Everyone hold your breath, cross your fingers, cross your toes.
The dry line is getting wider now, so we should see less of it, but...
Now that you've said that, watch what happens. No, just kidding.
Yeah. No, he's done it really well. Good on him.
Made it
Let's
through.
see what his split looks like.
And Big Rig behind! No! Someone had to do it there, but technically he still made it through the corner without spinning. He just rode the barrier on the way through. Oh,
Very lucky not to pick up any damage. Ting goes purple.
Ting is going purple, hey? In a very technical part of the track, doing a very good job there. They call the other layout of this circuit the seaside track, and having the chicane of death. I've dubbed this quadruple apex the quadruple apex of death, because everyone just seems to be drifting slightly wide and
have another off too. Pitmaster has ran wide. Madrick has run wide. He's bustled off to fall, but he's back on. He's okay.
So you're a Pro Series driver. Talk me through what's been going on in this quadruple apex. Why are they all running wide?
So running wide is because I'd say on the soft tyres in practice, they've been running wide to get a better line to come up this hill, which is what they were shown in their practice academy to do for the optimal qualifying lap. It was said, however, that this cannot happen on a dry line. There's two places in this track where you run wide to turn in to get to maximise your corner, which is the final turn, and through those complex left-hand turns. So the guys are carrying in probably on the same braking marker as they would on a dry track, and not pulling up in time and running a bit wide. That's what I'd say is the issue.
Yeah, I think you're probably spot on there. A lot of people falling victim to it. I think potentially one of those people has been Aussie Tex, because he was actually in P1 with about a
Red
2
Bears,
second...
he's off at the double right hands and turn 1 and 2. Lucky to be ghosted because cars had to drive through him.
Oh, he had a big hit in the barrier there, and then just got stuck on the apex. So that's a big moment there. But thank you for spotting that. As with a lot of damage on the car too, which will hopefully rectify itself. As we have had another spin up ahead, as Speed Race is about to just pass that person, and they're still spinning. I can see
Aussie Tex has just done what we just said and has put it off the track. He's down to 3rd place.
Yeah, there's just so much happening. So that spun car in front of Speed Racer was Dace Racer, a lapped car, but while that was happening, as Anthony just pointed out, Tex has run wide, which has allowed madness to come through. And 2 to 3 laps prior to this, Tex was leading this race with a 2-second gap to Speed Racer. So I think just losing a bit of the composure as he runs a bit wide again onto the wet line and loses even more time. The margins for error are so fine at the moment. Anything can happen, and it looks like, unfortunately, Tex has just been one of those victims today.
Red Bearsies looked at it again in a really odd spot actually, probably ran a bit wide, just coming into the last turn.
we might just have a quick little check of that there. So heading through the final chicane of this track, looks like he just ran a bit wide onto the outside curbs with slick tyres, and that's wet over there, and just spun it. Unfortunate end for the race for Red Bearsy, but if he can keep it together, he can still salvage it, keep his position ahead of Clarkey.
As well in the penultimate lap, Speed Racer just goes purple. Have I been calling Sector 2 Sector 1? Yeah. It's Sector 1. We're calling it Sector 2, but Sector 1, he's gone purple.
We've lost another driver on the main straight here. Wonder
we
who
have to. Has been reset. That is our boy Ting, as he takes his time to get back onto the dry line for acceleration. Up comes Josh, and he's going to come past here on the wet line. Oh, it's so dicey, so dicey.
So Ting and just ran a little bit wide on the outside of that sweeping turn, and lost it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it looked like the car came a bit unstable, and he tried to catch it.
All right, now that we catch our breaths for a second there. So
yeah.
Speed Racer coming around the sweeping right-hander onto the main straight to start the final lap of the race. He has lapped Clarkey here, so I think that'll be the end of Clarkey's race as he finishes P14. So that's the end of Clarkey's race, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it'll be at the end of this lap.
End of this lap,
we're
sorry.
on the final lap now.
Yep.
So Clarkey is saying that Clarkey he is on lap 25, and this is his final lap.
He'll finish on lap 25 there. Speed Racer making his way through the quadruple apex corner. Let's hope he can keep it together. He does successfully. The next driver to approach it is Madness, followed by Tex. And Dace Racer is in between them, a lapped car, so hopefully Dace Racer can clear the way for them.
So Tex will be pushing hard to catch Madness here. Hopefully he doesn't force himself to make a mistake. Madness is running low on fuel, so I think he has enough to get to the end, but he'll be very conscious of Aussie Tex behind him.
Yeah, I think he'll be happy to have a lapped car in between them just as a bit of a buffer, because Tex isn't exactly catching the lapped car, so there's no need for it to move out of the way. But we might just jump on board with Speed Racer here as he navigates the final chicane of the circuit for the final time. Probably very happy to see the rear end of this circuit and this track after this, but overall has had a very strong race. Speed Racer comes across the line, P1 for NRGX Racing. Well done, Speed Racer. Madness coming across the line. Teammate for NRGX Racing as well for P2. Going across the line. Tex P3.
Or NRGZ.
Or NRG, yep. That's right. Snake Eyes. We must have missed this in the mix of all the spins at the quadruple apex corner, but Snake Eyes' strong result there was sitting around P6, P7 for most of the race and pulled it out of the bag right at the end to take P4 for Revolution E
Great run.
Motorsports. Well done, Snake Eyes. Be happy with that result. Second race in the development series at Apex Point Racing League as well. Big Rig had a strong qualifying, had a bit of a bad start and salvaged a P5. Well done. Well done, Big Rig. And weaving down the track to celebrate.
I think they'll all be celebrating just to get to the end of this.
100%. The two buddies, Josh and Ting, crossing the line in P6 and P7. Then Madrick and Daywalker and Pitmaster all close within each other here. But I think this is the positions that they
The last trio. Yep.
The last trio, because all the other drivers are lapped as they come to cross the line. Daywalker. Oh no!
No, you're kidding!
You have got to be joking. We've got to get a replay of that. We ride on the chase cam of Pitmaster here. Hopefully the game doesn't kick us out. It probably will. Right before it gets to the juicy part of the replay. But
no, he's struggling to get back on there.
He just had such a good run and... Oh no!
Did he run out of fuel?
Did Daywalker run out of fuel? Is that what you said?
Did he run out of fuel? I think he ran out of fuel.
My
I'm
word.
going to I'm going to say 100% that Walker has run out of fuel. That is the classic situation that we've seen in the Pro Series between Ando and Jovan, where Jovan ran out of fuel and Ando did his absolute best to avoid him, but ended up having a crash as a result of it. But no contact, I don't believe. But in this case, there was.
Right at the
Unfortunate.
death there, so definitely one for the stewards to take a look at. But I might round up the results for the race, or if you want to do that, Anthony, or if you want to jump, it's up to you.
Yep. I will just say a really good race to everybody. I'll let you do the roundup while I jump over and go have a chat with the guys, so we can debrief and get everyone getting all their information. But just a terrific race. This was a tough race, and it was just good to see we've got some new drivers in here making up some grounds in there.
Absolutely,
So
couldn't be said any better.
so so thanks for everyone tuning in as well and showing their support and anyone who isn't a part of the community that wants to get in and have a go. We love to see you come in and join, and we'll help you level up your skills. And
Yeah, and just have a good time sim racing.
all right, so I'll see you guys in the next one.
All right, thank you. All right, now we have the final standings final provisional standings at this stage. So in P1 we have Speed Racer, followed by Madness in P2 and Aussie Tex in P3. Very good race from the trio working underneath the NRG banner. In P4, as mentioned earlier, Snake Eyes, followed by Big Rig in P5, Josh P6, Ting in P7, Madrick in P8 with the fastest lap to boot, so you'll get an extra point for that one there. Then in P9 we have Daywalker, followed by Pitmaster in P10. Now a bit of a contentious moment there right at the end between Daywalker and Pitmaster that may be looked at a little bit later, so again standings are provisional. In P11 we have Dace Racer finishing one lap down along with M Sports in 12th and Red Bearsy in 13th, and then Clarkey finishing 2 laps down in P14. So that was round 2 of the Development Series Season 4 at Apex Point Racing League for our Silver Lobby drivers. As Anthony mentioned earlier, if you are interested in joining and getting involved in racing, we welcome drivers of all skill levels. That's part of the reason why we have the Development Series and we have different tiers within them, so Silver, Bronze, etc, etc. If you're a bit of a faster driver, there's the Pro Series as well. We cater to all sort of skill levels and different driving styles, with the overall aim to have a clean and sportsman-like racing experience that is just that little bit better than the dailies. We do that through really clean racing, a good sportsmanship system, as well as leveraging the full dynamic time and weather of the game that allows us to. So if you are interested, check out our Facebook, just type in Apex Point Racing League, or join our Discord if you want to get straight into the racing and registered with us. All the links are underneath our channel, so you should be able to find those there. And we look forward to seeing you join us in the future. But thanks for tonight, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evenings. And from the team at Apex Point Racing League, we hope you have a lovely night. Cheers.